So I'm Mike Vose, CPE student.
I'm Sean Koseski, CPE student.
And I'm Long Lam, CPE student.
Our original project design involved several boards. Ultimately, the failure of the RF board created several interesting problems for us to solve. To illustrate the working parts, I've hooked up our old design to show that our power supply does in fact provide enough power to power the FPGA level to compensate for the loss of the RF board. We elected to use a Noelec R820T USB dongle. This device is a software-defined radio that takes the place of our RF board. However, this did allow us to still use our existing antenna design. The upper section of the antenna is for 1090 megahertz. The lower section of the antenna is for 978 megahertz. Since the SDR only receives one channel at a time, unlike our design, we're only using one half of the antenna at a moment. We're still able to use our RF filter from mini circuits, and we've spliced this into the MCX type antenna connector for the dongle. The connection you see from the Raspberry Pi board to the laptop is only there to make a connection so that we can retrieve map information for Google Maps. No actual processing takes place on the laptop. The Raspberry Pi is acting as our bridge from the software-defined radio dongle to the Wi-Fi connection. Let's take a closer look from the Android side. Here you can see on the configuration screen the Pi AP network. Note on the screen we now see three aircraft. Selecting one of the aircraft shows its altitude and go ahead. Selecting another aircraft brings up its information, and for the third aircraft. You can note in the full-scale implementation here that there are no connections to the Android smartphone.
Okay, so on this screen here, you can see the raw data that was retrieved earlier through the receiver. And on this side of the screen, you can see the data that has been now encrypted using FFX. So line 75 is like so, and line 75 here is the encrypted version of that data. Although we have not completely implemented it in the application, if you use the Use Encrypt Data button, which is right here, it'll use the data that was stored from you'll use the data that was encrypted. And the output should be the same as the output of the original data. So if we go to line 75, and this is the last line of the encrypted file, we can see 69444999124. As we go, you can see this whole line bottom here, the whole line down here is exactly the same as the original data before it was encrypted.